The Valdorian High Command had dismissed the warnings as primitive superstition. For 3 galactic cycles, the ancient records had been clear. Avoid the third planet of the yellow star system designated Sol 3. The few surviving accounts from early exploratory missions spoke of impossible creatures and death-defying madness. Most civilized species had marked the region as quarantine space, a cosmic anomaly best left undisturbed. But the Valdorians were not most species. They had conquered 14 star systems in half a millennium, their crystalline warships cutting through space like divine judgment. Their psychic networks could predict enemy movements before they were even conceived. Their plasma cannons could reduce entire moons to cosmic dust. They were perfection incarnate, the apex of galactic evolution. So when Admiral Zethkar received the automated warning beacon at the edge of Earth's solar system, he simply laughed, a sound like grinding gemstones that echoed through the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Primitive warnings from extinct civilizations, he declared to his assembled officers. We shall harvest this system's resources and establish a forward base. These humans will serve as excellent slave labor. The fleet consisted of 50 warships, each the size of a small city, bristling with enough firepower to sterilize planets. Their sensors had detected the humans' crude technology, chemical rockets, electromagnetic communications, nuclear weapons that barely qualified as toys. The Valdorian children wielded more destructive power in their training exercises. First contact occurred above the dark side of Earth's moon. The humans had established some primitive outpost there, a collection of metal structures that barely registered on Valdorian sensors. Zethkar opened a communication channel, fully expecting immediate surrender. Instead, he was greeted by a human female in a simple blue uniform. Her eyes held something the Admiral had never encountered in his centuries of conquest: complete absence of fear. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of Luna Base Defense Command," she said calmly. "You are trespassing in protected space. You have 30 seconds to withdraw, or we will consider your presence an act of war." The bridge fell silent. Several junior officers began what could only be described as incredulous chittering. The audacity of this creature, this evolutionary accident, threatening the might of the Valdorian Empire, was beyond comprehension. "You dare threaten us?" Zethkar's voice resonated with psychic force that would have reduced most species to gibbering madness. The human didn't even blink. 20 seconds, Chen replied. What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for generations to come. Those academies not belonging to the Valdorian Empire, which would cease to exist within the next 3 hours. The humans struck first. Not from their primitive ships, not from their small moon base, but from Earth itself. Weapons platforms that had been invisible to Valdorian sensors suddenly revealed themselves throughout the solar system. These weren't the electromagnetic pulse weapons the Valdorians had expected. These were devices that seemed to bend the very fabric of reality. The first salvo came from what the humans called gravity anchors, stations positioned at strategic Lagrange points that could manipulate gravitational fields. 3 Valdorian cruisers found themselves suddenly experiencing the gravitational pull of a neutron star, crushed to metallic paste in microseconds. The second wave emerged from Jupiter's Great Red Spot, which wasn't a storm at all, but a massive camouflaged weapons platform. Beams of coherent dark matter lanced across space, passing through Valdorian shields as if they were mere suggestions, unmaking the molecular bonds of whatever they touched. But it was the third wave that truly demonstrated humanity's terrifying ingenuity. From Earth's surface came something unprecedented: weaponized quantum entanglement. Valdorian ships began experiencing what their computers registered as impossible events: ammunition detonating in their own magazines, life support systems reversing their functions, navigation computers plotting courses directly into stars. Admiral Zethkar watched in growing horror as his magnificent fleet was systematically destroyed, not by superior firepower, but by physics that shouldn't work, deployed by a species that should have been primitive savages. "How?" he transmitted desperately to the human commander, even as his own ship's systems began failing in ways that violated every law of science he understood. Commander Chen's response was delivered with the same calm professionalism she'd shown throughout the engagement. You were warned. The galaxy told you to stay away from our region, but you assumed warnings were just fear. This is impossible, Zethkar shrieked. Your species has barely achieved interplanetary travel. True, Chen acknowledged, but we've been expecting visitors for quite some time. Humanity has a particular talent, Admiral. We prepare for the worst-case scenario, then prepare for something worse than that. We've been planning for galactic-level threats since we first looked up at the stars. As his ship's hull began to experience localized time dilation, aging and crumbling in accelerated patches, the Admiral realized the horrifying truth. The humans hadn't just achieved advanced technology, they had weaponized their own insanity. Where other species reached logical conclusions, humans asked, but what if we tried it anyway? Where others saw impossible physics, humans saw engineering challenges. Your species is mad, he whispered. Completely, Chen agreed cheerfully. But we're effectively mad. There's a difference. The Eternal Dominion lasted longer than most, its superior construction buying precious minutes. But even Valdorian engineering couldn't withstand weapons that operated on principles their science claimed were impossible. As reality itself began to unravel around his ship, Admiral Zethkar sent out a final transmission, not to his empire, for the quantum disruption would prevent any signal from leaving the system, but to the cosmic void itself. Let this be a warning, he broadcast. They were right. Stay away from Earth's region. The humans are not a species. They are a force of nature wearing the mask of civilization. Minutes later, the last of the Valdorian fleet ceased to exist in any meaningful sense. Their component, atoms scattered across 17 dimensions simultaneously. Commander Chen watched the final readings normalize on her screens. Around her, the Luna-based Defense Command maintained their professional calm, but she could sense the relief in the room. Stand down all defensive systems, she ordered. Begin cleanup operations. And someone update the warning beacons, increase the message strength by another 50%. Ma'am, her communications officer called out, should we report this to Earth Command? Chen considered this. The attack would be noted in their logs, filed in their reports, and probably forgotten by next week. Just another species that had ignored the warnings and discovered why humanity's section of the galaxy was marked as restricted space. Standard incident report, she decided. Classification, minor territorial violation, resolved through standard deterrent protocols. As the automated systems began transmitting new, stronger warnings to every corner of the galaxy, Commander Chen allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps the next species would be wise enough to listen. In the depths of space, the quantum echoes of the Valdorian fleet served as a monument to the galaxy's most important rule. When humans tell you to stay away from their region, you stay away from their region. Arrogance, as always, had brought their downfall.